Peter, since this is just for me, recount, if you can tell me, your most fucked up experience in the music industry.
Oh, I definitely can't recount that.
All right, how about the one that you can recount to me?
Sure, there's so many.
And keep it under 2 minutes.
Yeah. So I met Prince 4 times in my lifetime, and certainly his. And the first time I met him, he was hiding in the rafters of Shaka Khan's rental in LA, and nobody knew he was there. And of course I was a young punk, and I'd climbed up a ladder just to see what it was all leading to, and his face popped over and looked at me and said, "Shh, don't tell anybody." And next time I met him was during a Stevie Nicks album being recorded at Studio 55 by Jimmy Iovine, but they wanted to record Little Red Corvette as a track for Stevie, and he refused to let them have it. So they cleared out the studio, and I went in and hit record and watched him with 2 fingers play the entire bass line, and that became The Edge of 17. It's one of Stevie's biggest and greatest hits. Third time I met Prince, he had come to a show that I wrote and directed in London called Voyeurs. And it was a bunch of sexy naked girls basically wrestling each other in a cat fight on stage. You know, framed in the apparent format of a musical. And they actually wrestled over an executioner's mask, which was one of the props that one of the girls wore on stage. And when I went to ask Prince if I could get him anything, he looked down at the stage and simply turned to me and said, "I want the mask." And I didn't know if he meant the girl that was in the mask or the actual mask itself. So when the show was over, I ran backstage, and upon telling the girls, who were very excited to meet Prince, what he was really interested in, they broke out into a real cat fight and wound up ripping the mask in half, trying to be the one who could present it to him. And of course, afterwards, I took pieces of leather, they weren't even recognizable, back to Prince, and I put them on the table, and I said, "Are you happy now?" And he just looked at me very strangely. And that night we all went out to dinner together, and last thing I did after amusing him for a bit was order food for everyone at the table. And when I turned to him and I said, "Do you want anything to eat?" he just looked at me and said, "I only eat to live." And I didn't know what to make of that, so I said, "Well, I assume that means no." Fourth time I met Prince was backstage after his final closing concert at the Palms in Las Vegas. One of my friends, Sheila E., had been asked to come and jam with him for the last show, and afterwards we went back to his custom condo that they built for him, and he came out finally in pink pajamas, and they were actually peach pajamas. And he was very nervous, and he didn't want to speak to anybody, and I could tell that people were controlling him, his new wife and her religious sect. And he came up to me, and I said, "You know, I don't know if you remember me, but last time we were together was in London with the girls under Voyeurs, and we spent an evening together, and it was wild." And he turned to me and he said, "I can't trip on that anymore." And I thought to myself again, not sure what he means, but I basically said, "Okay, well, it's good to see you again." And at that point, he was whisked away by his handlers, and unfortunately, that was the last time I ever saw him alive. And he made such a big impression on me. I hope to inspire others with my own impression.
Thanks, Peter.